Hi and welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is Vince. Thanks for stopping by. You're very welcome here indeed. So What the Function 9140 sent me this comment asking me to list and rate the YouTubers that I watch. Now I'm going to assume they only want to know about the longevity type influencers, maybe fitness influencers as well, and not all the other YouTube channels that I regularly subscribe to. Channels like the Cozy Coffee Shop, Relaxing Jazz Channel, the Dry Creek Wrangler School, or My Self-Reliance. I'm obviously very happy to list the longevity and fitness type influencers that I do subscribe to, but I did find it very difficult to actually rate them in ascending or descending order. Why? Well, when you look at someone like Dr. Aubrey de Grey and then compare his work to someone like Dr. Peter Attia, I find it difficult to choose one over the other because their disciplines are so very different. It is, as they say, trying to compare apples and oranges. So I think I'm just going to tell you who they are and why I think they stand above the rest of the longevity and fitness influencer community. So there's no first, no last, no best, no worst, and they're not in any specific order. The first one I do want to talk about is Dr. Rhonda Patrick. With a PhD in biomedical science, Dr. Patrick delves into the roles of diet, exercise, and micronutrients in health and in aging. She often discusses the benefits of specific nutrients like vitamin D, vitamin K, omega-3 fatty acids, and sulforaphane. I like that she includes in-depth analysis of scientific studies and interviews other experts in the fields of longevity, fitness, and also lifestyle. As well as talking the talk, she also walks the walk, showing workouts on her YouTube shorts. I think the walking the walk is important if you do have a longevity fitness type channel. If you follow mine, you'll know that I post in the community tab screenshots from my Ultrahuman app showing my sleep scores and my heart rate after I've done maybe a ruck run or a bike ride. And I also have some clips of me training in the gym and also riding my bike. There are, however, a number of YouTube channels similar to mine making all kinds of exercise improvement claims, usually attributed to supplements, but no evidence apart from maybe some still images. Next is Dr. Jason Fung. He's a nephrologist and an expert in intermittent fasting. Dr. Fung discusses the benefits of fasting and the low-carb diet for weight loss and longevity. He explores the science behind insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, and their connection to aging. His videos provide practical guidance on implementing fasting protocols and improving your metabolic health. At 4, we've got Physionic. This channel is run by Dr. Nicholas Verhoeven. He holds a PhD in molecular medicine and very often delves into longevity and anti-aging by examining scientific studies and translating them into practical insights that most people can understand. He focuses on evidence-based approaches, including dietary interventions, exercise, and cellular health strategies that can impact aging. Through his very detailed analysis and his clear explanations, I think Nick helps viewers, especially me, understand the mechanisms of aging and how to apply this knowledge, more importantly, to enhance our health span. At 5, we've got Renaissance Periodization. This is run by Dr. Mike Israetel. He's the co-founder and he is the prominent face of the channel. He holds a PhD in sports physiology. He's an experienced professor and a competitive athlete. His expertise lies in sports science, nutrition, and training methodologies, which he shares through informative and practical content aimed at optimizing physical performance and overall general health. He also reviews a lot of creators on YouTube who may be, let's just say, less than believable when it comes to the content they produce. No list would be complete without Dr. Peter Attia, author of the book Outlive, The Science and the Art of Longevity. He's an MD who specializes in longevity, unlike some MDs on YouTube who tend to just dabble in the anti-aging realm or just create content that they know is going to rank high on Google search. Dr. Attia explores various interventions to extend lifespan, but more importantly, health span. These include diet, exercise, sleep, and pharmacological approaches. He often discusses the science of metabolic health, cardiovascular disease, and also cancer prevention. His channel and his podcast, The Drive, feature long-form interviews with leading longevity researchers. This is a great podcast, but sometimes I have to admit the technical conversations do go over my head. Now, I think I have got to include Dr. David Sinclair, as he's the main reason I got this channel up and running and I started my longevity experiment. David Sinclair can be somewhat of a polarizing character. That said, he's a professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School and a leading researcher in the field of aging. He focuses on the molecular and the genetic mechanisms of aging and how they can be targeted to extend health span and also our lifespan. Some people unfortunately tend to focus on slinging mud at his past research, choosing to ignore the groundbreaking work that he and his team continue to conduct. I'm sure now even some people are muttering under their breath or reaching for the keyboard to remind me about his shortcomings. Now, another polarizing character who I do watch is Thomas DeLauer. He runs the eponymous YouTube channel Thomas DeLauer. Some call him a health and fitness expert whose research team has allowed him to become renowned for his extensive knowledge in the fields of nutrition, fitness, and to some extent, biohacking. While he does not hold a formal degree in medicine or in nutrition, his expertise, if you want to call it that, comes from years of personal experience and his journey from being very much overweight to then becoming a fitness model. His channel tends to focus on ketogenic diets and intermittent fasting, and recently longevity. I was starting to ignore some of his videos because he tends to just regurgitate the same old content on intermittent fasting and ketogenic diets. But recently he's branched into the podcast realm, where he does interview some very worthwhile characters in the health, fitness, and the longevity space. People like Dr. Rhonda Patrick, Gabrielle Lyon, Andy Galpin, and Peter Attia. His channel does, however, attract some negative criticism, mainly because of his clickbaity titles and thumbnails, and also the ever-present sponsorship sections in the videos. I'm kind of finding this easy to ignore now because, especially in the podcast, there is some extremely useful information. He does upload one video every single day, so it does kind of look like quantity over quality more often than not. But if you do have the time to wade through all of his videos, which I now can because I'm semi-retired, there is some very useful information. And as I said, in the podcast, he now has some very interesting contributors. Now, the next YouTuber that I do regularly watch is a channel called Team Richie, run by a gentleman called Craig Ritchie. He's a very well-known commentator in the CrossFit world and has recently branched out into competitive weightlifting. In fact, he's currently training for the British Championships. Again, although he may not hold formal credentials like a degree in sports science or physical therapy, he leverages his extensive experience in competitive CrossFit, his personal fitness journey, and his insights into training, nutrition, and lifestyle. Craig and his partner Jazz also run the Hustle Made clothing company. This is one of their t-shirts. Sticking with fitness, another YouTube channel I do really like to watch is AthleanX. This channel is run by Jeff Cavalier. He holds a master's degree in physical therapy and a bachelor's degree in physio-neurobiology. Jeff is also a certified strength and conditioning specialist and has served as the head physical therapist and assistant strength coach for the New York Mets. His channel focuses on fitness, strength, training, and also very important field of injury prevention. He combines his extensive knowledge and practical experience to provide effective workout and health advice. If you haven't seen his channel, I highly recommend that you check him out. Next, I want to mention individuals who I watch and admire, but do not have a dedicated YouTube channel that's run by themselves. They tend to be interviewed on other people's channels, starting with Dr. Aubrey de Grey. He's a biomedical gerontologist and chief science officer of the SENS Research Foundation. Dr. de Grey focuses on developing therapies to repair and reverse the damage that's caused by aging. He advocates for a regenerative approach to aging, aiming to extend lifespan quite significantly. In his interviews, he often discusses the potential of emerging biotechnologies and their potential to achieve radical life extension. And second in this YouTube orphan group is Dr. Walter Longo. He's a renowned biochemist and gerontologist, best known for his research on aging and nutrition. One of his most notable contributions is the development of the fasting mimicking diet. This is a diet designed to provide the benefits of fasting without the need for complete food deprivation. He's also one of the YouTubers that I find can explain detailed and complicated theories in a clear and plain fashion. His clinical trials on fasting mimicking diets have shown promising results, suggesting that periodic fasting can enhance the efficacy of chemotherapy while protecting healthy cells and reducing side effects. Now, by way of a departure from the initial request, I'm now going to mention the YouTubers that I did used to watch, but for one reason or another, I have now unsubscribed from, starting with Dr. Eric Berg. Now, I did mention Dr. Berg a lot in my early videos because he, like Thomas DeLauer, was one of the people that got me into the low-carb, high-fat lifestyle. Some people criticize him because he's a chiropractor and he's not a real doctor. And by doctor, I assume they mean MD. 5 years into my longevity experiment, I think the last group of people, not necessarily individuals, that I would ask for lifestyle advice, the benefits of supplements, biohacking, etc., would be MDs. This is the true story. When I was in the Middle East, I met a doctor at CrossFit who, as the weeks went on, found out about my YouTube channel. When we discussed things like longevity supplements and interventions, he said to remember that MDs are just practitioners, and he likened them to car mechanics. In that, in the main, they're problem solvers. And again, in the main, the solution to that problem will more often than not be drugs. Although he was not the person that told me that nutritional training is woefully lacking in doctors, he did indeed confirm it. So getting back to Eric Berg, those that said I should ignore him because he's not an MD, I actually found quite easy to ignore them. Over the 5 years of my longevity experiment, I have indeed received common sense, actionable and beneficial advice from numerous people who are not qualified medical practitioners. Also, a number of people said I should ignore Eric Berg because he's a Scientologist. Again, it's easy to ignore those people who judge others on their belief system. So why did I actually unsubscribe from his channel? Because I still search particular issues on YouTube, and in that search I do type in Eric Berg. So a little like Thomas DeLauer, he was starting to regurgitate a lot of the same information on the low carb, high fat diet, fasting and the ketogenic diet. Another key contributor was that if you do subscribe to his YouTube channel, your YouTube feed will be inundated with adverts for his supplements and calls to sign up as a customer for his online coaching training sessions. The next channel that I cut loose was Dr. Dan Maggs. His channel is dedicated to fasting, the ketogenic diet, low carb, high fat, autophagy, etc., which I was kind of getting from Eric Berg and Thomas DeLauer, to name just two. I stuck with him because he said he was going to focus on more than just weight loss and also focus on middle-aged men in particular. He started well with a video on sleep, which was great, and then nothing. YouTube kept recommending his old videos, but nothing new, so he's now history too. So that's it for the YouTube channels that I do follow. I obviously subscribe to a lot more, but the ones I mentioned are the ones that when they pop up on my feed, I do make a conscious effort to either watch them or download them so I can listen to them later when I'm exercising. Let me know what you think of my selection, and let me know if you too follow some of the channels that I mentioned. And also, if you think there's a channel that I should be watching that I didn't mention, please do me a solid and write that channel's title in the comment section below, or better still, copy in that channel's URL.